Hi everybody, welcome to Cross BI. Today we're going to be answering more of your questions. That's right, today we're going to be going over some questions that came from one of our viewers, Tim Bindas. He's working on some challenges inside his organization about how he can start to migrate into a self-service framework, and he had some really good questions that I wanted to be able to go out and share with you. I've been talking with Tim for a while now. He's kind of local to Milwaukee, a real great guy. But Tim has been tasked with transitioning from an enterprise-based centralized approach to IT into a more self-service framework. And it's something that I've done internally at the position I'm at. I've seen how that's worked in other organizations, and he had some questions for how we can make that work. Let's go to Tim's first question. All right, Tim asks, he reads all the blogs out there that Microsoft's published about how you can do a self-service, and he wanted to know how our center of excellence has been structured, what's been successful, what hasn't been successful. He actually had some kind of like follow-up questions that went along this. These are some really great questions. Now, I talked about this before. Our center of excellence is something that we have that we kind of like champion and lead from our central BI or data teams, but it's something that we're working really hard to empower and drive adoption, and people continue to move this stuff from inside of the various organizations. Identifying champions that you have that are out there that can help you manage these things and lead these things forward is really key. If you can identify those people inside your org that spend a great deal of time trying to keep up with all the changes, like inside of Power BI, Power BI Desktop has monthly releases. The service has multiple releases like each month. The paginated reports is constantly evolving. The API framework changes on a regular basis. So you need someone, or and actually probably many people to help you understand and communicate all the different changes that are going out there. Even at that, you're not necessarily going to be able to catch and cover everything. So you're going to want to encourage people to participate and delve into it as they kind of need to do these different things, right? This is something that's if that's really important to them, they can you want to point them in the right direction to resources and help them facilitate each of those projects, right? Tim goes on and asks, how is this COE organized? How do you organize that? That's great. So we take it in two forms. Number one being our monthly meeting where leaders of the various divisions and teams that are working inside of the Power Platform and Power BI come out, and we present all the projects that we're working on. We run through like the notable big changes and additions to the platform. Like the new lasso effect that was just announced is super cool. There are a number of new features when it comes to like personalized visuals. That is a huge thing. Understanding how you can work with this and interact with those things, and giving people a demo of this is really important for people to understand what does this mean when it comes to implementation. We also work on making sure that we've published out code bases that give people demos of that code in action, so that when they see us do it in the COE, but then they also have some code that they can go to and look for. So that's really great. Tim asks then, how is the COE basically structured to the business, and that leads into like, how are we framing this up when it comes to building out and using, enabling users while having those degrees of gradual promotion of analytics and reports to that centralized team. And that's kind of a core concept that you really need to think about, is thinking about different stages and different levels of quality that you want to have inside your data and inside your reporting. So on one side, you want to give individual people the freedom to go out, perform those individual analytics, go out and do that exploration, find those nuggets of gold that no one else, even thinks to ask or has questions about. That's where you're going to find like the biggest value add to your organizations. But you're also going to find the biggest variance, right? Like the biggest things, like you experimented, you worked with something, but it didn't have a lot of benefit, didn't have a lot of value add. So a lot of that stuff ends up getting thrown away, or has it doesn't have as broad-based value. But that's where you can also find your biggest spikes and your biggest game changers. So you do not want to or you want to limit how much you hobble those people as much as possible, so that you can enable them to explore and iterate through their analytics. The next level is that more team-based or division-based approach, where you have people who are building out content and they're sharing that amongst their teams or amongst their divisions. Those are the people that are going to be a little more hardcore when it comes to development. They're going to start thinking about things like sharing common data sets, making sure that their measures align across all their reports. These are you're talking about that elevated tiered approach, where you're talking about people who are much more analytical in nature and much more broad-based distribution of that content, right? And then finally, you still have and need that like enterprise source for the people who are going to publish those hard and fast metrics, who are going to work on broad-based metrics that drive the business, drive your operations, work on secure pieces of information that you just don't want anyone or any Tom, Dick, or Harry playing around with, right? If you're working in HR, if you're working in compensation, if you're working in risk, some of those areas you really want to have a high degree of rigor around security, professionalism. All that stuff is still going to be something that is managed centrally. And you're also going to find that those individuals who build out stuff, when they have that aha moment, right? When all of a sudden something rises up in importance, that's going to migrate into a team that's going to take that and run with it. But that big high profile thing is going to rapidly accelerate out of the team and then get promoted and transition into that centralized IT space. So you want to make sure that as you're building this out and as you're framing this up, you have that pipeline that allows that individual user to like build individually and run independently, but migrate into a more team dynamic, or migrate out into an IT managed service framework, right? Now, I've talked about this many times before, and I've mentioned this in previous Q&A video. There is a lot of chaos that comes with allowing just a lot of people to do analytics, and that's okay. Everyone has Excel on their desktop, right? Like everyone does. You're going to need to. People are going to need to have the same degree of review and oversight around Power BI that's coming out of individual creators as they do around people who are emailing around Excel files, right? You're going to have a degree of chaos that comes with that, and that's okay, right? But making sure people understand those pipelines and those migrations from that personal, to that, team or division, and then to the enterprise, making sure that they understand how that works and flows and operates is important, right? And business leaders need to understand the value of that, right? They need to understand that, hey, it's very valuable for them to be able to respond quickly to things that, it's going to be more ad hoc in nature, but maybe not with the most rigorous engineering around it. And that can be okay, right? You if you need to answer a question now, answer it now, by hook, by crook, by, whatever you got to do, get that answer in, figure that out. And if it has a ton of value, figure out how those things can be engineered up and elevated up. Now, this is straight up to all the business users who are watching this. You can do a ton of stuff as copying and pasting, and in a framework that is not supportable by engineering, right? So that if you do not follow good development practices and your ad hoc development, it's going to be next to impossible or impossible for it to be promoted up and migrated in there. So Tim, or for anyone who's running in a centralized platform, really good idea to lay out frameworks that allow people to see how they can clearly and easily move along these pipelines. I'm going to toss one out here. For example, use data flows to load data into a singular workspace that then populates a singular data set that then reports are built off of. Anything that's built in that framework, where the data flows come from enterprise data sources or automated and the data sources that are driven through gateways, which they have to. Those are great practices of things that might be migrated up into a centralized IT space versus, hey, you just copied and pasted a whole bunch of data into Excel, you manually manipulate it all, and then you put out a report on it. You can totally do that as a personal creator, but that's not something that's sustainable by anyone, right? So making sure people understand what that pathway is into production and what that handover is, how you move from a personal creator to a business or to a team or division and then to an enterprise, that's really important. All right. And then Tim asked a great question. Can I leverage Microsoft support for assistance or recommendations for how to address capacity issues, or is that more of a consulting engagement? That is a great question. So Microsoft has, straight up, Microsoft has the best customer service of any major tech company out there. Really, kudos to Microsoft. If you're watching this and you work at AWS or Google or IBM or any of these other places, you guys have been taken to school by Microsoft on this, and you don't even know it. You have it is transformative, the difference between the levels of service that each of these companies offer. In the same way Amazon transformed how you can order stuff online and the customer service you get there, Microsoft has transformed how a tech giant can respond to clients, help them, and assist them out. If you're looking for support from Microsoft, there's a number of ways to get that support. I highly recommend you contact your Microsoft rep to understand what level of connection you have with Microsoft and understand the best ways to connect into Microsoft. For example, I work at Rockwell Automation. We are a strategic partner with Microsoft. We develop our products that we sell to our clients are built off Microsoft products. So we have a joint partnership, and we're very connected with Microsoft. So that comes with an elevated degree of support that Microsoft provides us, right? And at different levels of support and licensing contracts that you may have with Microsoft, you're going to have different degrees of support with them as well. So connect with your Microsoft rep, figure out what's the best way to get support in these things, because you've heard about it in videos. Adam got pulled, or Patrick got pulled onto a client site to help with these things. 100%, all these Microsoft resources that are out there are constantly being pulled into very like hellfire landscapes of issues, and then helping sort people out and get them up and running. And they're really great at this. Again, Microsoft is just crushing it in this space. So do talk to your Microsoft rep. Figure out what levels of support are available for you, and push them. If you need help, say you need help. These are Microsoft's products. They are aggressively trying to support you and help you out with things. Even to the extent where, hey, I need this feature. For example, a year ago or a year and a half ago, I said, I need individual users to be able to customize and change a visual that I publish out into the service. Like, I may have a line chart, and some individual users insist on seeing a bar chart, and they just have to have that customization needs to be there. Microsoft heard that, and literally this week they announced and they rolled out personalization views inside of Power BI. It's incredible, right? I mean, it took a year and a half, right? They can't just do everything magic, right? But it's incredible that they listen to these questions and respond to people. So reach out to your Microsoft rep. Great way to get help on it. All right. Thanks a lot, Tim, for asking these questions. If you have questions that you want me to answer about how you're working inside Power BI, or how you're managing things inside of a data service, or you have just any other questions, hit me up on LinkedIn, hit me up on Twitter, send me a DM, ask me your questions. I get dozens of questions every day. Well, maybe not dozens, but I get many questions every single day. Send them over. I try to answer as best I can. When questions are really good and I think deserve a broader view, I've started to do these videos because if you have a question, I guarantee you there's 1,000 other people that have that exact same question. Well, maybe not 1,000, but still, data people are still fairly niche people, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, lots of people have these exact same questions. So send those questions in to me. I'm going to do my best to answer them as best as I can, as fast as I can. If you don't like any of the suggestions I made, or you have better ideas on how to do these things, put them down in the chat below. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm coming from a broad-based experience here, but like, you may have found a better way to work with something like that. And I want to hear about it. I want to know about it, and I want to share that out with people. So put those in the chat below. If you like these videos, you want to see more of these things, like, subscribe, turn on that little bell notification. Happy to continue to show you that stuff. And well, I don't know. Also, still have some stickers, a handful of stickers that are left. So if you go out to KarosBI.com, buy me a coffee. I'll send you some of those I Love Power BI stickers out to you. I still have a handful available. It seems like demand's pretty good on this. I'll probably be placing some additional orders for those. But if you like them, go out, buy a coffee. I'll send you a letter. Thank you for everything. Thanks, everybody. It's been, I really enjoy answering these questions. You guys have a great day. Peace.